Welcome to the Underground, the Steel City Underground, the black and gold standard for Pittsburgh Steelers coverage. Now, here's your host, Joe Kuzma and Brian E. Roach.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Steel City Underground podcast. My name is Joe Kuzma, and I am joined here by my good colleague and pal one, Mr. Brian E. Kenobi. That's what you look like, Brian. What's going on, man? What's under the hood?
So, I've mentioned this, that I have my bearskin tactical hoodie. This is the only problem I have with the bearskin tactical hoodie is I can't see shit in the bearskin tactical hoodie.
That's good. That's good. There he is. How you doing, man?
Well, I'm now very warm because I'm wearing the bearskin tactical hoodie. I'm going to keep saying bearskin tactical hoodie at least another 3 times.
Yeah, I never know. Like, it's been a minute since we've had a sponsor on the show. That's because most of them have been pretty poor, to be completely honest. Like, you see, I could slap a name on there and we get affiliate sales, but I'm not that kind of guy. I'm not here working for peanuts. Well, maybe I am. I don't know. You know what, Brian? I wanted to start off this show. I'm not going to tell you what I wanted to title it. We were laughing about this. It's a Samuel L. Jackson quote. Mother something or other. That's what I was going to call the Cleveland Browns. But I'm not going to say it. I don't feel like editing and having to bleep it out. So I'm just going to say this game, a lot of people are probably thinking like Sunday. They're like, is this a trap game? Or could the Steelers be overlooking the Cleveland Browns? And we kind of mentioned this on the last show. There ain't no way in hell I think the Steelers, especially after what they just had as a dogfight against the Bengals, they're pissed off in Cincinnati. And then they're like, ain't gonna happen 2 games in a row. All the shit talking, all the stuff that transpired, Greg Newsome, with George Pickens, like George Pickens still has like the, what do you want to say, perception after that. Some people don't realize that Newsome got fined too. Or, dragging him off the field. Tomlin mentions this in his post-game press conference. Like, somebody asked if there should be a certain guy in a certain spot with a Hail Mary. And there was a lot of Myles Garrett running his mouth about being the number 1 guy, this, that, and the other thing. I think it's going to be an ugly AFC North classic on Sunday. And it's in front of the Steelers' home crowd here instead. I'm very much so looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's the Browns fans were very revved up for that game. It's a different environment, right? And just like they don't let Steelers fans really take over Brown Stadium, at least right now. We generally don't let anybody take over our stadium.
Yeah,
so
they don't travel that well. They usually, like, over the last couple of years, I may have seen more Cleveland fans in Pittsburgh, but definitely not. And let's not forget, I did mention George Pickens. He got penalized quite a bit. There were no penalties in the Browns game, but he had a comment about the weather as we look at Nick Herbig here and the blizzard, and he pretty much said the Browns aren't a good football team because of the snow and the elements that they're in. So there's a lot of chalkboard material out there.
Hey, why not? Let's just keep adding chalkboard material. Look, the uglier this game is, I think the happier we all will be, right? If this is a slugfest and just mean and nasty and down in the dirt, AFC North nasty football, and everybody's getting popped and people are, losing helmets and flying all over the place, won't we all be like, just like, this feels so good. This feels right.
Yeah, it will. And, I don't know if you watched Monday night, Browns and Broncos. It went back and forth. Jameis Winston with his famous pick 6, the Jameis special, as I like to call it. He threw another pick in the end zone toward the end of the game. I look at what the Broncos were doing as a big blueprint. They were able to run the ball a little bit. They didn't do extremely well running the football like they had the previous year, right? That's all that, like, they just killed Cleveland on the ground the previous year. Offensively, they did top 106. Jaleel McLaughlin actually was the guy that they just couldn't get. He was squirting around from my alma mater, Youngstown State, undrafted. So I had a little vested interest in watching Denver, aside from it being AFC North football. Of course, we watched the Eagles win and beat the Ravens. Steelers got a game and a half on them, and this could be a full 2 games if they could beat the Cleveland Browns, which, I mean, this is very difficult. We were looking at this on Thursday night, and we had all this different benefit of the doubt. Aside from the weather, road trip, short week, following playing the Ravens, Thursday night football, and, again, away games always kind of benefit that team. The Browns got to play on a short week now after having played at Mile High, second straight road game. And now, I mean, we almost can sound like a broken record doing this show because we just talked about the Browns 2 weeks ago. It's almost all of the same stuff that applies. I think the only difference is that, I mean, you got Jameis Winston throwing for damn near 500 yards. He had 497 against the Broncos. They're just letting him throw it all over the field, 4 touchdowns. But he also had 3 interceptions. That's against the Broncos defense. They're young. They're emerging. Vance Joseph, their defensive coordinator, good defensive coordinator. I just think that this is going to be way different when you don't have the weather equalizing. I mean, look what happened with the Buffalo Bills and San Francisco 49ers, for example. You watch that game on Sunday night, and the 49ers, they couldn't get a foothold anywhere on the field. I mean, Cook was just running all over the place, and they didn't have to do a whole lot, and they were laughing, too. Browns fans were a little bitter because Jerry Jeudy, he had his revenge game against the Broncos, right? 9 catches, 235 yards. They made him look like Jamar Chase. Actually, they made him look like, instead of Jerry Jeudy, they made him look like Jerry Rice. So Steelers can't do that, but I don't think they would allow that to happen as well. I just tend to think that defensively, when it's more of a level playing field, you don't have something. I know it seems like I'm blaming the weather, but the weather is an equalizer there. I mean, San Francisco couldn't do anything in Buffalo. Buffalo was more accustomed to this climate. I know both teams had to play in it, but both teams kind of stunk it up at different areas when you had the Browns and Steelers. Now we're going to get to see maybe a little more mano a mano. And I just feel like after the Steelers, you watch the Broncos put 41 on this Browns defense. We watched the Steelers get over 40 points, 44 to be exact, against the Cincinnati Bengals. I just feel like we're headed in that same territory where the Steelers are just going to come out and pop them straight in the jaw.
I really hope so. Look, I don't want to see a game like the Bengals game in this game. Cleveland's offense is far, far better with Jameis Winston than it was with that other guy. But at the same time, it's not the Bengals. That other guy. I don't even want to say his name anymore. That other guy.
But he's not Joe. But Winston isn't Joe Burrow.
But it ain't Joe Burrow, right? This is not Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins. It's not that. They're not that good, right? So I don't want to see a game similar to that Bengals game, right? I want the Steelers defense to not play these soft zones and allow cheap receptions and, basically give up crap yards, right? I just don't want to see that. I want to see them play a better game. There's not a good reason we should lose this game. But I said that the last time. The problem is, again, same thing. All these AFC North battles throw records out the window. You just don't know. But I don't think that they're going to take this team lightly. They can't, right? They lost to them, not that long ago, 2 weeks ago. So they're not going to take this team lightly. And I think that they are absolutely going to be fired up to get a 2-game lead in the division, end up, revenging themselves on the last loss and right the ship. They know what's ahead of them, but it's not a trap, right? They do know what's ahead of them. They need to take these one at a time and take the potential victory where they can.
Yeah, I don't think they're looking at the Eagles the same way as if the Chiefs were the following week or the Ravens were the following week. I just don't, in considering what happened, like you just said, I feel the best way I could explain it is I feel they were embarrassed by Cleveland. It's a 2-win team. It's still a 2-win team. We didn't look at it as still a 2-win team. I mean, it's a lot different than losing to a 2-win New England Patriots or Arizona Cardinals from the previous year with Mitch Trubisky as your quarterback.
It is. You're
playing in Cleveland different. Thursday night division game, different quarterback too for different circumstances. They might have a better record if Winston's been their guy, even though he still has the turnover tendencies. We saw the same thing happen with Joe Flacco last year. They were able to just let him throw the ball all over the field, put up gobs of yards, but still turnover prone here or there. And I know a lot of Browns fans were upset that they didn't keep Joe Flacco, and they didn't want that. I think in the locker room, they didn't want any kind of controversy with Watson. It'd be interesting to see if the outcome of this game dictates anything differently, because you had Watson as the starting quarterback. You had Kevin Stefanski calling plays, and then you kind of went to Ken Dorsey, and I think that was to protect Stefanski. There's like some political things there before Watson even got injured. And like I said, they didn't even have Winston as the backup quarterback when Watson got hurt. It was Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Then all of a sudden it was like, well, we can't go with this guy. We can't go with this like second-year guy with no experience. So now we got to go back to Winston. But Winston was like the third emergency quarterback for some reason. There's just some odd coaching stuff going on. I know they had Vrabel sniffing around the sidelines before. Jim Schwartz's defense, he was another one of these guys that got one of these coaching awards last year. They just gave all these awards out to all these Browns people, like the participation trophies. I'm sorry, I'm still not entirely all with it with my sinuses, but I'm almost back. And since Winston came in, he's appeared in 10 games. He's been a 5-game starter. He's thrown for 1,763 yards, 11 touchdowns, 7 picks. He's completing just a little bit over 60% of his passes at 61.3%. So, and he's taken 16 sacks over the course of that time. So he's prone to coughing up the football here and there. I wanted to take a look real quick too. Like, he's already fumbled the ball 3 times as well. So it's somebody that if you could rattle him and put him under some pressure, which they were unable to effectively get to him. Maybe they were tired. Maybe it was the weather, whatever. I think they're going to be more geared up. I think the Browns and their offensive line, they might be the ones a little more tired this go round.
Let's fingers crossed. Look, let's see what happens. Let's see if we get Alex back. Let's see how that trio of Alex and TJ and Nick impacts them, right? Yeah, here's the gig. Like, if they start slow, if they start fast, right? If the offense is still clicking, right, and Russ is cooking, and they're able to put up some points, it one-dimensionalizes the Browns, right? And now all of a sudden, Winston's going back to pass. The pass rush will eventually get home. He will make mistakes. I think it becomes a non-issue of a game. If they can't, if the defense plays the way they have at times on and off, that could be problematic. They need to stay on course. They need to stay out of second and third and longs, and they got to not turn the ball over.
Mm-hmm. And you got to be aware of Myles Garrett. I mean, Dan Moore Jr., pretty much the whole offensive line did not have the best of games. Then you see what Dan Moore and the company and Broderick Jones do against Trey Hendrickson and Sam Hubbard and Hill and Jenkins just last week. I mean, that's just is good. I mean, Hendrickson was leading the league in sacks. So just as good. If I don't want to call them better. I don't know, man. I don't want to say better, because Myles Garrett, there's a few things the Browns haven't screwed up since returning in 1999. Taking Myles Garrett number 1 overall is one of those. I also want to say taking Baker Mayfield when they did was also not one of those. Like, they could have ended up with Darnold, which would have probably set their franchise back even worse. Of course, nobody was going for Josh Allen at that point. He wasn't, and he turns out being like the gem. You know what I mean? It's funny how those things turn out.
I remember I said if we could pick one quarterback in that draft, it was Josh Allen.
Yeah, well, at least it wasn't Josh Rosen.
I was not in on Josh Rosen. No.
Yeah, it's wild how these things turn out. And Cleveland, with the record the way it is too, they're finally going to get draft picks, because the Texans have just look at the Texans roster. It's like those players had a good shot at being players that the Browns could have targeted or had on their roster had they not made that Watson trade. So
I am so glad that C.J. Stroud is not a Brown.
Yeah, or Will Anderson for that matter. So just any of those guys. To be
that would suck. Will Anderson on the other side of Myles Garrett. That would suck.
I know, man. And you could see that. I mean, not to say the teams don't have other needs, but they definitely, they let Darius Smith go. I don't necessarily know that was the right way to go, but they got Okoronkwo. I could never say his name right. Ogbo, I should just say. They're giving him a shot. He's younger. Can he get home? Sure. Shelby Harris, he's been around forever. Dalvin Tomlinson, these are veteran guys. So the Steelers' offensive line's definitely going to have their ducks in a row. Again, with the linebackers, we don't have any kind of, I know that JOK is still on IR. I don't know that they have it. I don't know what's going on with the injury report. We don't have anything from Cleveland just yet. The Steelers one actually is just filled with, I had it up, and it's all a bunch of veterans resting with the exception of players maybe returning from injured reserve themselves. So among the players resting on Wednesday for the Steelers, Mike Williams, Isaac Seumalo, Michael Pruitt, TJ Watt, Cam Hayward, and Larry Ogunjobi, who is the Steelers nominee for Walter Payton Man of the Year award this year.
Yes, that was pretty cool.
So yeah. So, Minka Fitzpatrick and Najee Harris also resting. So you really only had Calvin Austin limited due to concussion protocol. Hopefully he could be back. He has been a weapon. He has scored in the last couple of games and on deep passes. This is the guy that you were looking for with that 4.2, 4.3 speed finally getting out there. If you're looking for that wide receiver too, don't necessarily look at Mike Williams, but he's out there at least enough that you got to give it some second thoughts, right? Ben Skronik's been playing above the line. And then you got to look on the defensive side. Corey Trice, full participant with the hamstring. Like you said, Alex Highsmith, limited. Montravius Adams, possibly getting reactivated. Both him and Trice maybe this week from injured reserve.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have a full complement back together. Let's get the band back together, man. Come on.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. Try to give me a coffee break here, man. I love my Eaton Park mug.
All right, here, I'll give you a coffee break. I'll talk about something completely non sequitur and off thing.
With the hairball in my throat, man, it's just been it's been rough. And I know you hear me hacking here. I try not to get it. I was really worried that I had to edit one out in the last show, and there's not very many edits in this show. You'd have to have a very keen eye or actually been here as part of the process to know it. But man, that was rough on Monday. I was just, and I'm just still getting over it. So I appreciate all you out there. So Brian, yeah, give me a coffee break.
All right. So here's my non sequitur. So, if you've gotten an Amazon Echo, right? You know what an Echo or an Amazon Dot, you know what they are, right? It's a big round thing, little speaker. So they came up with this new one called the Spot. And you know what the Spot is? They cut a dot in half, because if you cut a dot in half, you get a spot.
Okay, thank you for that. I don't know where we go with that necessarily. Just don't go saying that ALXA whatever.
I'm trying not to say her name.
Set everything off in the house. Yeah.
If I say Alexa, she's listening.
Yeah, always
say
listening.
Hi, Alexa.
Always listening.
Say hi.
That's kind of funny. That kind of happened. I was watching the Hard Knocks, and we all have plenty of this for the material too. The billboard material will be all over the Hard Knocks AFC North. The first one was pretty good.
Well, I was going to bring that up. I was going to say we have to.
Yeah.
I was saving the Hard Knocks commentary for the 2%ers, but we can go into it now, or if you want.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about it. Why not? But it's funny because you're talking about devices listening, and I was talking about it or thinking about it, and immediately I think the ad came up like on the Facebook timeline or one of the social media things I was on. I was like, you got to be kidding me. I was like, you talk about it and you will it into existence. So sometimes it just like, if you want better things shown on your device, then you got to be like whisper like cute cats, cute kitties, cute kittens. And then you get more of that instead of, Cleveland Browns or something.
Why in the world would I want to see those things?
You don't like the internet's a better place when there's more cats, man. Cats are just
all cats want to kill you. Cats
they do.
Are
That's
secretly
the thing too,
plotting to murder you in your sleep. And if they could figure out how to do it and still clean their damn litter boxes, you'd all be dead.
And fill their half full food bowls
and water.
Oh man, yeah. Well, Hard Knocks. I think it'll be interesting. They didn't show much. They had a little bit of footage from the Browns and the Steelers on Thursday night, but it was almost dare I say 100%
intro
toward Bengals and Steelers game pretty much, which they edited out of order. I think there was a play or two. Yeah, one of the strip sacks was not in the order.
They skipped TJ's altogether.
Yes,
and just went right to Nick's. Now, here's the thing, you just know. We all know the Steelers have been on Hard Knocks wish list forever, right? Because Mike Tomlin's just going to be a captivating watch on Hard Knocks. So, of course, it's the AFC North. But who gives a crap about the Bengals? Who gives a
no one
crap
cares.
about watching the Browns? You got a 4-8 team and a 2 and whatever team or a 3 and whatever team. Nobody cares. They're going to focus heavily on the Ravens and the Steelers. And I'm sorry, John Harbaugh is boring as F.
Yeah.
He is as vanilla a guy as you can ever see. What is his big comment? I'm cold. I'm always cold. I'm always cold. Do you want your coat? Can I have your coat? No, don't give me my coat. I don't want your coat. I would never take your. Well, who cares? Who wants to watch that?
What about
Mike Tomlin is entertaining.
Give him a Coke and a smile. Give him a Coke. Oh, I mean, Tomlin had some one-liners in there too. I'm trying to remember what it was, but him getting on Herbig and Tomlin's his week. He seems like a motivator of men. And you also notice like the Cincinnati Bengals, like their rooms that they're prepping, like it. I understand that some of this stuff is like basically like a college classroom. But it looks like the most generic, bare bones, like, let's not spend more than we need to provide the bare minimum for these players. And ain't no wonder they suck. So, I mean, at least the Browns have nice facilities. I'd give them that much. And Winston was praising his guys for shoveling snow or whatever. I actually thought it was kind of cool. The groundskeepers really are unsung heroes in all of sports.
I'll go with that.
Yeah.
Much more so than the refs. I'll go with that. Yeah. And by the way, Charles Bragg, our resident Cleveland Browns fan. I'm sorry. I know you care about the Browns.
Yeah, he's one of the few. I don't know. Their fans are a little more passionate. It seems like the Bengals are still just like there's Bengals fans, but their grandparents' team was still Paul Brown's team, the original Browns. Not the Bengals.
All right, I got to tell you this now. So at the contract gig that I'm doing right now, there's a woman who's in Cincinnati and who is a Bengals fan, right? And so you would assume there'd be some animosity, some hostility, like a little fire after that game. She's like, yeah, you guys beat us pretty good. I don't know. You pretty much own us. Who cares? I'm like, where's your passion? You were talking some smack before the game.
Yeah, it does. It's kind of like that. It really is. Well, back on to the groundskeepers, and on that theme, I'm anticipating at some point the gold end zones returning. We got 3 more home games. Let's bring them back.
If there's a groundskeeper Willie anywhere in the NFL.
Geez,
is there a groundskeeper Willie someplace in the NFL?
At least nicknamed that, anyways.
Yeah.
So Land Clark is the referee for this game. We don't have much to say about Land Clark. He is he's like a massive individual to see, like how Ed Hockley, we were talking about in the last show, was just kind of like a ripped, muscular guy. It'll be interesting to see how he controls this game differently than referees in the past. And I know the list is getting a little shorter on those that are available that the Steelers haven't seen yet. So I keep looking at the names and I'm like, okay, you still got you got all these big games. You've got the Eagles and you've got the Chiefs, you got the Ravens still on the schedule, and who are you going to draw? So that, I don't have any feelings about this one. I feel like this one, I know you think everybody just that wears stripes sucks.
They all stink. They all stink. All of them. They stink.
Okay.
Offensive. They all need antiperspirant. It ain't working. Send them some Axe cologne. They all stink.
Axe. Oh God, you're cheapening them. Okay, folks, this is our time of the show. Or grab another little bit of coffee. We have a segment here before we get into our main keys of the game, because we really didn't have much of an injury report. We've talked a lot about the Browns game 2 weeks ago, but we'll still get to our keys. But we started something new. This is based on one of our commenters on YouTube. We always bring up the broadcast schedule and where you can watch the game. But this is now Maps with Brian. See, our graphics department.
Yay!
Our graphics department put in overtime there in order to create a new, instead of the Maps with Brian. So let's see here. We have.
Tell me the map. What can I question?
You could question Steelers. Browns are the game of the week here again in the CBS 1:00 window. They are in the red, which should be obvious because the entire state of Ohio, most of Pennsylvania, and just about the whole Midwest, most of Texas, actually all of Texas, except for that part of Oklahoma.
I'm assuming blue is either the Cowboys or the Eagles.
No, actually that is the late window game. It's going to be the Seahawks at the Cardinals. So
look, go back.
Yeah.
Go back.
Well,
that same stupid section of New Orleans,
it's a little more. They got Baton Rouge and New Orleans.
Yeah, they got New Orleans this time and Baton Rouge. But what is the deal there? What is going on? I don't understand it.
it's not the same area as before. It was southwestern Louisiana.
You're right. It was just this little itty bitty
little
spot.
itty bitty sliver. But there's a few of them that are notched out. I like making fun of them a little bit because, like, you know, New York, they've got you got the Jets and the Dolphins, obviously, are in there too. Jacksonville.
Tell me again,
Tennessee.
who's Seattle playing?
The Cardinals. So they got division game 2.
Why does Philadelphia care about that?
I don't know. I don't know why the Philadelphia area gets that, and unfortunately, it's CBS single.
But so, you know where I live?
Are you in that area right there?
I live in the Philadelphia region.
You ain't getting the Steelers game on the rabbit ears then, so time to pull up the Sunday ticket.
Damn, I got the Sunday ticket.
Yeah, well, hey, aren't you special there, you high roller? Just throwing around your money and everything, show off. Anyways,
I don't have to throw away any money. I get free from Verizon.
Oh, well, there you go. That works also. Just some milestones too. So the Steelers now their 21st consecutive season without a losing record. This ties 1965 through 85 Dallas Cowboys for the longest streak in NFL history. So next year they have a shot at breaking this entirely. Obviously, we know that Russell Wilson set season highs in completions, 29, completion percentage, 76.3, passing yards, 414, his second most ever in the pros. His rating was a 126.4. He had 3 touchdown passes. He's looking for a third game in a row with 75% or better completion percentage and a 115 rating. The dude is on fire. Everybody that said that Russell Wilson is washed, you need to have your eyes checked. You need to have your head examined. That was just a mismatch of maybe a clash of personalities and philosophies with Sean Payton, who's getting everything that he needs. I mean, a rookie's like Bo Nix isn't going to question him. And it seems like, you know, they dropped Russell, and it's working out for them, even though they're paying him a boatload of money. It's working out for the Steelers. Everybody seems to be beneficial here. So Russell Wilson on fire. Steelers offense against Browns defense, I think, is the bigger storyline than even the Browns offense against the Steelers defense, but you still got to be aware of Jameis Winston, as I mentioned. 58 pass attempts last week, 497 yards, 4 touchdowns, but the 3 interceptions.
If he's throwing the ball 58 times, I think we're in good shape.
Yeah, I think so too, man. I just think, you know what I'm looking for? I think I might have mentioned this on the last show. If I didn't, if I'm a broken record, forgive me. Minkah Fitzpatrick. A lot of people are like, where's Minkah? You watch that Bengals game. They went anywhere but where Minkah was. Burrow, he sees 39 and he was going somewhere else. He has got an entire portion of the field locked down. And they also picked on Joey Porter, obviously, too. As like anytime they could get some contact with Joey Porter, just throw it over there and the hanky ends up on the field. We'll see if we have some more of this. We'll see if George Pickens draws any flags. Usually George Pickens doesn't, because he's a cheat code, much like the Cincinnati receivers. He's going to catch just about any damn pass that comes in his direction. So Russ with the long ball. I think here the Steelers have to establish the run game primarily, just as they have. It's not like they're asking Russ to throw the ball 58 times. Usually, I think, and I want to say we said this, maybe I have to go back and look at this for sure. I was going to say just pass yards. I'm not going to be able to find it off the top of my head, but that might have been the one of the only games, if the only game last week, where the Steelers threw the ball more than ran it.
Oh, for sure. I mean, they definitely had to, but it was in, you know, it's funny. It's, you know, it was a shootout. I mean, it turned into a shootout, that game did. And, you know, when you're in that kind of situation, you have to go for a more aggressive style, right? You got to score. You can't take a lot of slow turns at it, right? Until all of a sudden we had a little cushion.
Yeah. The other thing to look at too with the Browns offense, you know, I mentioned Jerry Jeudy just looking like out of his mind. David Njoku, he drops some easy passes sometimes. He could still be a weapon in their offense, in their pass game. So just as long as, you know, you could mitigate that and limit his exposure in the game. I think the biggest thing is, like, Nick Chubb just really hasn't returned and been Nick Chubb yet. So they've been going back and forth with him and with Jerome Ford, kind of a 1-2 punch. I mean, most NFL teams these days, you need 2 guys. You look at the Steelers, they have Najee and they have Jaylen Warren. So you're going to have much of the same kind of dynamic there. I think when I looked at this, Brian, I think the line on this game, the Steelers were -7 So they were extremely favored. There's an over-under of 43.5. And we kind of made fun of this the first go round because the Browns hadn't been scoring 20 points in a game. They had struggled, particularly with Watson and now with Winston and with Dorsey calling plays. And he got 24 on the Steelers, 32 on the Broncos. You skip back a couple of games because they only had 10 and 14 against the Chargers and Saints respectively. But they did score 29 against the Ravens, another AFC North team. So I think, and it should have been true in the last game. It was a 19-17 final, or not 19-17, 24-19 final, right? If you could hold the Browns under 20 points, it should be a victory.
Yeah, I agree with that. But boy, the over was the bet to take on that last game, wasn't it?
Both of the games, even if you could have took the over with the Steelers Bengals or with the Browns and Broncos too.
Oh yeah,
they both went way over. I mean, I want to say, was it 48 for the Bengals and Steelers? It was not that much. It might have been. I have to go back and
Steelers
look
almost
up.
made the over by themselves.
It might have been 45 for the Monday night game. So yeah, Steelers almost made the over just by themselves. So 7 points. Laying 7 points in AFC North game. Am I that confident? I don't know. It's still tough. You still have Winston just throwing the ball around. But to me, Winston was throwing some errant passes. He's lucky he didn't get picked off a few more times. Patrick Surtain was all over. And the Broncos also still have PJ Locke. If you remember him, he was with the Steelers for a quick minute. He was like an undrafted guy that came in and won camp, and he's made an NFL career for himself. And he was making some plays too. So I just feel like that overall the Steelers, I mean, just everyone you look at, when you look at it on paper, you're making some comparisons. They're going to look at that film and they're like, oh, look what Nick Bonito did. TJ could do that. Herman could do that. Highsmith should be able to do that. I think Montravius Adams maybe being back, they're not the run game's gonna seal up. These run lanes aren't gonna be as open as they were. The Browns offensive line, that Ifedi guy that's playing out a tackle, he still struggled on Monday night. That's going to be the matchup to watch because he is going to get harassed all day long. That's the big one. So I think you're going to see it. I don't think you're going to see one of these games again where TJ Watt only gets like a handful of tackles and no sacks or anything. I think he will be heavily involved in harassing Jameis Winston.
This is the way this game is going to go for me, right? What day is it? It's Thursday. I don't remember what day it is anymore. It's Thursday, and I'm like, I feel pretty comfortable about this game. I'm feeling pretty good. Now, tomorrow I'm going to read all of the predictions, and of course, they're all going to pick the Steelers, and I'm going to go, yeah, okay, yeah, that's good. And then I'm going to feel a little less comfortable. You know why? Because I don't like it when everybody picks us. But so then we're going to get to Saturday, and I'm going to be like, this game's kind of worrying me a little bit. I don't know. And then Sunday morning, I'll wake up and I'm like, I don't feel good. My tummy hurts. I don't like it. and I'll stress until the game, and then hopefully we win. That's what this game is going to be like, because that's AFC North football, right? That's the way it is. I can feel confident. I can feel sure. But as the game edges closer, I realize it's AFC North football. I don't know what the hell's going to happen. And to try and pretend I do is crazy. I have watched. I got some flack because I said I don't watch any games other than the Steelers game, but I do watch most of the other AFC North games.
I know that's not true. I don't have to.
It's not really true. I don't watch. I'm sorry. If it's going to be the Cardinals and I don't know, pick another team that we probably don't play all year, I'm not going to watch that game because I don't care. But I'll watch most of the other AFC North games unless for some reason I can't watch them. And I'll watch a lot of the other AFC games because there's a chance we're going to play those guys. But that's the case. It's just I can't tell you based on what I've seen in AFC North games with other AFC North teams what should happen, because it never seems to match. Nobody thought the Browns are going to beat the Ravens, right?
No.
Nobody thought that was going to happen, and it did. Nobody thought the Browns were going to beat us, and then they did.
Yeah, and that's why this game is important. You take a look at the standings in not only just like the division, but all the way around. I think the Steelers are sitting at third right now overall in the AFC. Now,
correct.
What was it? The Buffalo Bills. Who did they draw this week? Hold on a second. They pretty much got an easy schedule going the whole way. There could be
unfortunately, so do the Ravens. They have one game that's tough, which is us. The rest of their games are cakewalks.
Yeah, that's true. But let me see. Buffalo's at LA. And that could be kind of maybe a trap game for them. Might be
because it's at LA. You got to travel. LA
coaching.
Can put up points.
Yeah, good
they
coaching.
Can put up points.
Good coaching. They just played like a pretty rough game with San Francisco in the snow and everything like that. The guy's healing. I thought it was interesting on Hard Knocks too, was Joe Burrow talking about how he's even felt pretty good, like, on Mondays and Tuesdays and stuff. That's what people don't realize. It's like, man, that next day, the recovery day and trying to get back at it, and just that's why some of these guys get this veteran day of rest. It's not that they're like just slacking off from practice. Like Mike Williams is 30 years old. This dude needs it. You know what I mean? Cam Hayward, he needs that day off. Najee Harris is a running back that's already played. We're in week 14. Like, they need that time off. They need to be able to lick their wounds and heal and whatnot. But back to the standings, like Buffalo's 10-2, right? And Buffalo is already oh my, they've already got all of these little let's see, what does the
you did the Will Levis commercial again. Oh my.
Well, I've never seen a K on this thing before, so it's like the little K. The little K and the little E, it's eliminated from playoff competition for the E, and it's a K is knocked out of division. So now they do that in addition to like the X and the Y, like with Buffalo, they've already clinched this or
Make
whatever.
The other teams feel bad when they get a letter, but at the same time feel included because they got a letter.
Yeah, here's a letter for you, and here's a letter for you. So the Steelers have no letters next to their names, but the Bengals and Browns are officially eliminated from division contention, not playoff contention just yet, which is hard to believe. You got a 4-8 Bengals team and a 3-9 Browns team. Now, the Steelers have a chance to knock them out and go to 3-1 in the division when Baltimore's 2-2. Baltimore's on a bye. They can ascend to 10-3 over an 8-5 Ravens team and create some nice cushion there. Yeah, this is like a gotta have it for sure type of game. 9-3, you're trailing Buffalo, who is trailing the Kansas City Chiefs. They're 11-1. They got the Chargers coming to town this week. I mean, they've been winning all these games. They're one-score games. Some of them by the skin of their teeth. It hasn't been the cleanest of football, but a win is a win is a win. You don't need style points. So you're still chasing that team there too. You look at the rest of the Steelers schedule, as we said, you got to get this one because you're in some dogfights. The next 3 after this are
nasty.
Yeah, iron sharpening iron, man. I mean, you got to go on the road to Philadelphia. You got to go on the road to Baltimore. Going to be some tough sledding, and then Kansas City at home. And none of these games now are going to follow. You're going to follow this pattern for this week. You're still on the Sunday schedule, but then you get into short weeks because you got to play a Saturday with Baltimore and then a Wednesday for the Netflix Christmas game with the Kansas City Chiefs. So I know
how annoying is that?
It's annoying.
I mean, I still think we're going to beat Kansas City on Christmas, but it is annoying as hell. At least we didn't have to play Sunday, right? It's still annoying that it's after the Baltimore game.
They get a little bit like then they get like this layoff to then play Cincinnati in a game that's probably not going to matter. And if it doesn't matter for any kind of playoff positioning at all, maybe you're resting players and then players going to have this extended time off, which always it scares me. Like, you know what I mean? It's almost like the muscle memory goes away. The calluses, they start you need the calluses through this. I want to say one more thing. We talked about weather. It was cold as hell in Cincinnati last Sunday. Supposed to be in the 50s in Pittsburgh.
Should have had your bearskin tactical hoodie, my friend.
Bearskin tactical hoodie. I had the Arctic snow pants, of which I forgot to bring a belt. So I had them on over Nike ThermaFit. Nike ThermaFit stuff is light and warm. It's amazing stuff. But after a while, when you're just standing and you're in the cold, man, it gets to you. So it should be a little bit more friendly of an environment over in Pittsburgh this Sunday. We might not be able to blame the weather. There might be some precipitation, but it's projected for the evening, hopefully, because then it's out warm, then it's not snow, then it's rain, and then who wants cold rain, especially this in December? So hopefully get out of there with it being nice and dry, everybody being nice and dry. Any closing thoughts, Brian? Because it's like,
I thought I was going to go to the Browns game. I think I told you this. I can't go to the Browns game because I also have a concert on the night of the Browns game.
Oh.
So I'm going to the concert instead of the Browns game. But I will be going to the Bengals game. I'm going with my brother who was dropped on his head as a child and it became a Bengals fan. So, that'll be my game.
It better be a good concert. I mean, Charles Davis got to see the Eagles. So
you see this. There's a reason I'm going to this concert, right? It is the second concert I ever saw in my life was Kansas and being opened for by Loverboy. That'll tell you how old I am.
wow.
The first concert I saw was The Who in Cincinnati, and I'm lucky I'm alive. But the second one was Kansas and Loverboy. So this is the 50th anniversary tour of Kansas. And I said, well, this feels round out. Like I can go see Kansas again, and then I can die, right? Because now I've closes, and I guess I could wait until maybe the Who tours again, but they're all about to die too. So,
jeez, oh man, I know, and a lot of bands aren't the original members anymore, and I don't know, like we get in a whole sidebar on that. I don't mind that all the time. I mean, obviously. Kiss was just winding up. Are they still going? They had the retirement tour that was going, and then COVID happened, and it ended up being 5 years for their. This is the last time you get to see Kiss, and it's been Gene and Paul for the last 20 years with various drummers and Tommy Thayer and everything. But I still love going to see them. You know what I mean? It's still nothing like seeing some of these bands, even if aren't always the originals. But
yeah, and I mean, when I bought the tickets far in advance of when the schedule came out, so I didn't know.
I'll tell you what, that burns me, the whole concert season stuff. The girlfriend, like Pearl Jam, they're like, they start touring and it's like August, September. It's like, how am I supposed to work this around Steelers season tickets? You don't know what the schedule is. It's like, Goodell, put the damn schedule out. Like baseball, they know their schedule before even their previous season's even done. You know what I mean? It's they play like 5,000 games.
Somebody went on sale yesterday for a concert in Atlantic. It might be Def Leppard went on sale for a concert in Atlantic City, and I was like, I don't know, maybe I'll go see Def Leppard again. But like the concert is next fall.
Oh, it drives me. So that's the same
Tickets
thing.
Went on sale yesterday.
Yeah, there's like, Cody Jinks is like one of these independent country guys that's running around now, and he's selling, and like he's touring, back in Youngstown, my hometown. He's going through there and like Pittsburgh and stuff, and it's in September, and it's like, I don't know what's going on at that time. But then
I wouldn't be buying those tickets anyway.
I know you wouldn't.
I don't do that country crap.
The lady friend likes country. I'm not the biggest country guy, but AC/DC is touring now too.
That's the other one. They're going to be at Acrisure
and also Huntington Bank. They're going to be in Cleveland too.
Yeah.
So it's like one of those ones. Like, what burns me is like,
I've seen them three times.
Am I going to drop this money now before Christmas? It's Christmas season. I got a Christmas budget, and AC/DC wants to pry a few $100s for.
Well, and I'm going to tell you, if Axl is the lead singer, I'm not going.
Oh, I heard about that. She actually had tickets for that. And he was on his own tour at the same time. You want to talk about how crazy that is. But again, we could get into all these sidebars. But I'm like AC/DC at Acrisure. I think I might be there. That looks like it's Memorial Day weekend, roughly, in that territory. So
I'm seriously considering going to that. But I'm going to wait to find out the lineup. I haven't looked. Yeah. But if I've seen video of Axl doing the songs, I don't want to go.
Okay, and I mean, it's probably kind of fair. It's like, how does a guy that like doesn't even rehearse and he's doing his own tour at the same time, he's jumping back and forth between all of them, and this is real 2%er stuff, right? But it was like, man, you gotta admire like what kind of machine he is. Not this past summer, but the previous summer, they played a PNC before the Steelers won home preseason game. It was the one against the Bills. It was the one that gave us all the false hope where Kenny Pickett came out, they scored all these points. Guns N' Roses played for 3 hours, dude. 3 hours. They covered some other band songs. There were solos. And people were like, there's people that still had the balls to talk shit on Axl Rose because maybe his voice cracked or whatever. The dude's like, what, about 60 years old? And they played for 3 hours. Like, holy shit. Like, you're really going to say that? Like, I admire that in a whole different way.
I would go see Axl with Guns N' Roses. I don't want to see Axl singing AC/DC.
It's not.
That's the key. Like, that's just it is. But by the way, if you're planning on going, the Pretty Reckless who are opening for them, very good. Very awesome.
All right. Well, that's our own little sidebar, folks. If you listened this far, if you care, we never talk music. Sometimes we talk a movie here or there or anything like that. You know what I mean? We talk about our love of coffee and whatever other things that you didn't like earlier that you were making fun of me about. But It's just,
Tea.
I like
Coffee
the
and tea.
camaraderie.
Any hot beverages, it's out. I'm out.
Yeah, you're out. Just as long as it's
No
sparkling water, and then you're good. The sparkling.
Wait.
He's got one here somewhere. Oh my goodness, man! How many of those you go through in a week?
100.
I don't know. There's Brian's budget. That's why you can't get tickets. You can't afford tickets because of all the polar waters. Folks, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I know we're being silly here. Quite frankly, it's all broken record. We can't beat a dead horse any more than these I almost said it, Cleveland Browns. So Steelers need to come back with a victory. Cannot get swept by this stupid team. They already gave up 2 consecutive games for the first time since Shep was a pup. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I told you off air, they have that whole thing. I don't know who comes on DVE and does it, or maybe it's ESPN Radio or somebody off of or someone in Pittsburgh comes on. And they have that thing where they're like, I hate the Ravens, I hate Baltimore, I hate Old Bay, I hate Edgar Allan Poe. We need one of those for Cleveland, please. So if you hear this, or somebody, if you can remember who did it, I'm like begging and pleading, do one about Cleveland, please, because I hate Cleveland. That'll do it for us, folks.
See, my problem is there's a couple of things in Cleveland I liked. I liked the Christmas Story House, and I liked the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So I can't go with I hate those 2 things.
I hate the Cleveland Browns specifically.
Well, yeah.
It's a very specific hate. They have
but you have a deep because, and I think partly because you grew up in Youngstown, right? And you just have you have a very deep and troubling hatred of the Cleveland Browns. Like, I don't like the Browns. It annoys me when we lose to the Browns. I find it annoying, but I know. See, there you go. That's the other reason.
Don't like them.
I can give the Browns credit when they deserve credit, and you have a hard time doing that.
I've given them enough credit. I've even been on local Cleveland sports talk shows where, like radio and TV, and they're expecting me to come out there and just, even when they were really bad, they came off of that, winless season. And I was like, nah, just look, and it ends up being a tie game or whatever.
That brings up another question I have.
Yeah,
you still get invited to do things. Remember, we used to get invited to do things. We used to get brought on stuff. Like, our Australian friends used to bring us on theirs, and we used to get invited. Nobody likes us anymore. What the hell?
No, that's actually not true, but just busy schedules, my friend. That's all the more it is. It's all the more it is. There's some stuff that happens here or there. Some of the guests, there were several that fell through. I never like to just go out and say, hey, this person, blah, blah, blah. And then it's got to happen. You know what I mean? Sometimes I'd like to promote it in advance, but unfortunately in this line of work, sometimes the things that happen, they happen quick, and as soon as they materialize, as fast as they disappear. So just stay tuned, because I had a surprise or 2, and I was hoping for it. A lot of those are easier to come by, of course, when we're not in the thick of the season. So our Aussie friends are still out there. They're still out there somewhere. Yeah. So, but anyways, folks, this extended show, I was not planning on it being as long as it was. We have a lot of extra filler in here. If you enjoyed it, leave us a comment. If you thought it sucked, just give us a thumbs up and then tell us it sucked in the comments. So you don't hit us with thumbs down or dislike.
Don't give us a thumbs down.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. And by all means, stay subscribed. My name's Joe. His name's Brian. We're just looking forward to some more football. It sounds like we really don't know what we're talking about, but we just talked about this team so damn much 2 weeks ago. It's like, just how much more can we rehash? I hate doing that. So I hope you still appreciate this. Swing back around next week for the post game. And hopefully we have some great things to talk about. Hopefully a Steelers victory. To get the 10 wins, they're a lock for it should be a lock for the postseason, definitely. 11 for sure gets you there, but you feel a lot better if you beat the Browns. You feel a lot better about picking up 1 more in the last 4 games. And I just don't think that this is a team that's going to lay down and lose 3 of the last 4 to begin with, or 3 of the last 5 for that matter. So that'll do it for us. Till next time, as we close out this show. Still dealing with this, man. I'm trying so much. You too. Be safe. Be good. Get some Flonase.
And
we'll catch you later.
We would like to thank you for listening and remind our listeners to follow us on social media and our website, www.steelcityunderground.com.